very much, Scott. Hello, everybody. So, talking about my last name, I was attending a summit and someone called me up and said, now it's Boris Gorbachev. And I popped up and said, look, I'm responsible for a lot of things, but I'm not for perestroika, okay? And I don't want to get too political, so it's time to bring some diversity in here. No British accent. Ukrainian guy who is working for a Spanish company and running sales strategy in Germany. That's me in a very short summary. And today I'm going to talk about a topic that I'm really passionate about and I do love. And I love sales strategy. Okay? And I try to look at sales enablement from the sales strategic lens. And I must say one thing. I love London. I've been a couple of times in London, but last night I was meeting a friend and we were out having dinner. And I must say I felt in love with London, not because it's one of the most beautiful cities, because I figured out that London has got best sales talent, okay? So a friend of mine loves donuts, and he saw this food truck selling donuts, and we ran into it, and the guy was welcoming us and asking, you love donuts? We've got the best donuts in town. I said, oh yeah, sounds fantastic. 1 for 1, so one donut for £1, 5 for 6. And you know, I'm from Eastern Europe, so we only laugh if it's funny. And I was waiting until he comes up. It's a joke, and it was no joke, right? It's the best pricing strategy you can ever have. So 5 for 6, okay? So great to be in London, and let's kick it off. So I'm doing sales for 15 years, and I started with sales over the course of my studies. So in the first year, I had 2 sales jobs. I was selling insurance policies, credit cards. In the second year, I was selling test drives, cars. I was selling banking products. And I figured out that, even more than doing sales, I do love setting up sales teams, setting up strategies. And in the third and last year, I had 20 students working for me. I assigned regional sales areas, commissions plans, compensation plans, and I was running my small sales organization. That was actually my path into sales strategy and future sales development. However, and all the people who are dealing with sales transformation know we do have the most riskiest job on this planet. Why? Because according to Harvard Business Review, we do fail in 2/3 of all efforts. We do fail in 67% of all strategy executions. And well, luckily enough, we are not surgeons or pilots, because this is an incredibly high failure rate. And I will talk about failures later on. So apparently I was not that bad, at least for my 1/3 of successfully executed sales strategy initiatives. And I was doing sales transformations for the last 10 years, largely in telco and IT space. And I'm talking about large-scale transformation programs for multiple thousands of sales reps and sales leaders. And my former CEO left and went to a competitor, and then I received a call where he literally said, we want you, or I want you, Boris, come over and help me out. By the way, as I was preparing my slides, my 4-year boy came up and said, who is it, Papa? And I said, well, it's an uncle. He said, is it your boss? I said, no, I'm not working for Uncle Sam. And I hope my ex-boss, my ex-CEO is not watching this presentation right now. So he called me up and said, we want you, Boris, come over. And I joined Telefonica Germany. It's known as O2 in UK. So Telefonica is one of the largest telco providers worldwide, 350 million customers across the world, with a large footprint in Latin America, but also UK, O2, Germany, Spain and Brazil. And they were doing fine apart from the B2B unit, okay? So on the B2B side in Germany, Telefonica has been the challenger with a market share of just 3 to 4%. And that was really intriguing to me and challenging enough to join and to help to create winning B2B sales strategy for Telefonica. So I felt like a hero, and I was very motivated for my first working day. And that's how my first day actually looked like, right? So Monday, 9 o'clock in Germany, executive meetings start very punctually, so I was there at 8:58, and this is a cartoon that I think best represents what I experienced in the first meeting, right? So what if we don't change at all and something magical just happens? My colleagues, I'm not sure whether you already experienced such kind of meetings, but this was a kind of a talk, all right? 5 hours of what don't we do? Why do things fail? So, at the end of the first day, a colleague of mine came up and said, "Hey, you are Boris, right? Yes, you are the new sales back office kind of guy, right?" I was, "No, I'm here for sales strategy." And something came to my mind, and as I was talking to my team, and at that time I had 3 people doing learning and development, 2 guys on the commission side, and 3 channel development managers. So that was my team. And I was talking to them and say, "Why do they refer to us as back office? We are not back office. I mean, on my title, it's sales strategy and enablement." And they said, "Well, I don't know. We don't know, but that's something that really annoys us, right?" And I started thinking, and well, it was my first day. I didn't churn. I still stayed with the company, and I said, "Okay, look, let's see if it becomes better." My first week, I met with head of sales, who literally said me like something like, "Every step of the sales process went perfectly, except for the part where the customer buys our product." Ever heard that message from sales guys? Okay, everybody else, we blame everybody else except us. It went on. I had the perfect first week, right? So I had a meeting with regional sales managers and with the guy from sales operations. And I thought, well, it's time to change. We need to do things differently. Hence, we need to redefine our team and our mission. And the question that I had that popped up was how to build sales enablement from scratch. And keep in mind, I'm a strategy guy, right? So I'm looking at things holistically. I'm kind of the zoom out guy. And I started doing research on the topic of sales enablement. And I figured out that sales enablement had its roots already in the beginning of the last century. Coming back to the 1930s, I would say one of the best books ever written. And I'm not sure, just raise your hand, please. Who has read Dale Carnegie? Great. Who hasn't? I think it costs £4 or £5 on Amazon. Feel free to order. One of the best books you need. It's a holy Bible of how to communicate with people, how to persuade people. And for me, probably the beginning of sales enablement. Moving forward, I think that's the grandfather of the donut truck guy. Say hello to the traveling salesman, right? So sales enablement enables people to travel. We talked about traveling. In the 80s, that's the really exciting era that is still lasting. So in the 80s, the whole notion of sales methodologies appeared, right? Spin selling, value selling, consultative selling, later on challenger selling. So the whole methodology part came in. We talked about science, and that's the period where science kind of became a very integral part of sales. In the 90s, wow, internet became obviously available to all of us, and hence changed the way we sell and the way our customers buy products. In 2000s, the technology gains real traction, and we have talked about technology over the past presentations, and there are a lot of amazing companies out there at the booths. So it's really amazing to see what technology is able to do. In 2010s, we talk about artificial intelligence, sales analytics, and many, many more technological advancements. So after doing this research, and I figured out that the whole idea of sales enablement was kind of linked to 2 elements, right? The first one about learning and development, and the second one about sales tools and sales technology. So looking forward, I think no one here in this room can ever predict what will happen in the future. But if we think about technological advancements, so what is next? Sales robots? Selling autonomously to the clients? We don't know, right? But something will happen, and technology won't stop. So for me, it was very interesting research, but I haven't found probably the holy grail I was looking for. And I refer to the study from Harvard Business Review, and those guys are really amazing in putting complex scientific work into very easy and understandable content. So I thought, look, if they are dealing with sales transformations and the sales management on a daily basis, so why not to go there? And I went to Boston and attend a course that was specifically designed for sales executives and people who are doing sales transformations. And it's been a fantastic journey and an incredible experience. And we learned about the learning journey from Werner. And I think probably 5% of all the 20 case studies I've done at Harvard really stuck with me. But one thing I would really like to share with you guys, which I found was the most valuable part of my Harvard business journey. And that's a sales strategy framework written and published by Professor Doc Chung, a really phenomenal guy, ex-Korean Special Force SEAL, McKinsey partner, PhD at Yale, and teaching sales channel management at Harvard Business School. He is focused on sales transformations, and his niche is sales compensations, and I will touch on sales compensations later on. So I looked at it, a framework, and said, look, it's easy, it's comprehensible, I like it. So, and then as we were running through the case studies, that's the teaching method at Harvard, I was figuring out there's something into it, and I would like to share some thoughts. First of all, you need to understand what is your desired outcome, sales outcome you would like to change or you would like to achieve. What is you're really changing? Do you want more sales calls, more customers, less churn, more leads? It could be multiple or all of them, but you need to figure out exactly what you would like to change. Once you figure it out, you need to start designing your sales process. And this sales process is your signature. Okay, at Telefonica, we call it Telefonica way of selling. This is how you sell, or in the new buyer's world, this is how our customers are buying. And there are certain enablers who are driving the sales process, and we talked about training, and we talked about coaching, we talked about technology. So all of those elements enabling our sales process. I think so far pretty clear, right? The third part of this sales strategy framework is really interesting, and it clicked, at least for me. And Professor Chung is talking about the 3 enablement pillars, which are skills, structure, and compensation. Speaking of skills, we talk about how we recruit our people, how we onboard them, how we train, how we coach, how we retrain them, how we develop them. So this is our core discipline in sales enablement. We were focusing on skills since the beginning, right? And this is probably our main focus in enablement activities. Structure is all about how you design your sales teams and your sales organizations. There are multiple models, either inside or outside, industry, verticals, SMB, enterprise, mid-market segmentation, or multiple combinations of those, okay? And the third element is compensation. And I would like to pay attention to this one, because so far I think in the most companies, compensation, sales incentives are being managed by probably sales operations or controlling, or even worse, finance, right? But this is the missing piece here. Why is compensation so important? I would like to hear your view on that. So why do you think sales compensation is very important?
It drives the right behavior, or it runs the wrong behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it drives behaviors, right? So what is our task in sales enablement? Try to change the behaviors of the people, right? And it really clicked, because on the one hand side, we're putting a lot of effort in training, upskilling, coaching people. On the other hand side, there is this Bible that is called compensation plan. And I'm working for a Spanish company based in Germany. So our compensation plan incentive scheme is 67 pages long, right? It needs to be negotiated with the Workers' Council and 1,000 different committees. It's 67 pages long. This is the very first book every new hire is reading, right? So this is their kind of Northern Star, and we need to understand why it's so important. And I started looking back on my past projects and start analyzing them. One of the projects I've done, it's already 7 or 8 years back, is we were launching a new sales methodology focusing on consultative selling. Who is aware of consultative selling? Okay, who has ever actively launched sales methodology in their companies and business units? Okay, guys, I feel really, really bad for you. Hopefully you feel my pain here. I think this is the most painful exercise you can ever do. Okay, so we are talking about changing the behaviors and the way our sales reps are selling. Now explain to 1,750 egos that they need to change their behavior. And in this case, we try to shift their sales focus from volume. So basically, in now my world, volume would mean number of devices, SIM cards, fixed lines, whatever, more towards a revenue based, so more towards value and EBITDA, right? I think this is something that is probably very familiar to all of you, regardless of the industry. So we were, at least we thought, we were doing an amazing job. We had a project plan and we were obsessed with our project plan. We stick to every milestone we set. So we were doing an amazing job. Well, we had zero buy-in from salespeople. At least that was the initial feedback on the kickoff as we started it out. And what we figured out a quarter into or after the launch is that we had a mismatch between the sales process and the compensation scheme. Why? We have never asked the question, what is inside the 67 pages of the compensation plan? Just to give you an idea. So we were talking to our sales reps and we're asking them, shift your focus towards revenue, right? We try to understand what are the customer needs, try to cross-sell to upsell. At that point of time, their compensation scheme was based on 2 targets. 50% of the commission was based on volume, so number of devices, and the remaining one was based on revenue. So far, so good. The thing is that we had a performance booster. It's commissions booster above 100% quota attainment. You're aware of that? Okay. Well, unfortunately, the booster was only available to people who hit the volume part, right? So we were paying the booster based on volume. And so actually looking backwards, a no-brainer. And that was the missing puzzle in the whole transformation journey. So we didn't understand on how our people are being compensated, are being commissioned. That's why it failed, and it failed really, really badly. But okay, lucky for me, I left the company already now, so I can start over again. Coming back to Harvard, and I saw some hands from marketing people. Just don't be offended, okay? This is pure statistics. So smart revisions of compensation models have been found to have a 50% higher impact on sales than changes in advertising investments. Please don't get me wrong. I do think, and I'm a former sales guy, ads are great. We need campaigns, and if you ask salespeople, you need campaigns everywhere. Online, offline, out of home, give me campaigns, okay? So the thing is, once you start measuring the impact of campaigns and comparing it to the sales productivity, you don't see the ROI as you see in changing and playing with compensation models. And playing with compensation models is key. It's an infinite game. I don't know where or who read the book of Finite and Infinite Games, amazing book. So changing compensation schemes is an infinite game. It's endless. And what we figured out once we start playing with compensation schemes is we have increased our sales productivity up to 35%. year on year. And let's take a look at the second biggest fail. So we talk a lot about best practices. I'm really transparent here. I'm sharing my second worst nightmare, as I got the task from our chief sales officer back in the days. We need to shift from a hybrid account management. We're talking about B2B SME area, okay, to hunting farming model. I think for B2B people here, you are familiar with hunting farming. So it's all about, shifting the focus on new customers and shifting the focus on existing customers. Obviously, the goals were we wanted to boost our sales, reducing customer churn, and put focus in this organization. And guess what? At least we learned from the mistakes, right? So we created the right structure, and we created the right compensation schemes. Everything went smoothly until it launched. And it was, I think, week 6, as we saw that people started complaining. We had a lot of calls from our sales leaders who were talking really negatively about the whole sales process and how bad it goes. And we started to thinking what went wrong and figured out we really neglected the skill gap. So we assigned the people, 1,400, to hunters and farmers. We did an assessment center, we did a development center, we knew what the competencies and skills are required, but we neglected the skill gap and the ability of hunters and farmers to collaborate with one another. We haven't supported them, we haven't coached the sales leaders on their new mission, and that's why it failed. And for me, as I saw this strategy framework at Harvard, it really made sense, right? It really made sense and created a new perspective on my role within my organization. That's why I went back and said, we need to do sales enablement differently. And the formula that we come up with is we need to combine the skills part, training, coaching, with our structural initiatives, with the compensation. Meanwhile, we are the largest team in our organization. I do have sales ops experts, channel development people, learning and development, performance management. It's one hub, and that's why I call it a transformation engine. We were able to reduce the project time down to 3 months in average. And over the last 12 months, we have created 2 new sales channels. One is an inside sales with already 80 people. The other one was an online channel. We were coaching 850 sales leaders. And we are doing it at a very, very fast pace. And that's why I would really encourage you to go back to your teams and ask yourselves whether you have found a missing puzzle in your sales enablement formula. At least that worked for me. I think I was really fast, so hopefully we've got some time for questions. Here are my takeaways for you. So think about sales enablement as a transformation engine, not only as either or, but rather as a combination of disciplines. Understand what you really want to change. Describe it as best as you could. And then make sure that you match and align your 3 sales enablement pillars: skills, structure, compensation, and obviously execute, experiment, and fail fast, start over. That's from me. Thank you very much, guys, and hopefully we've got some time for questions.
Anybody with questions? I was interested in the 2 scenarios that you had, implementing a new sales process. Given that you had different sales motions, was it the same sales process for the volume sellers? Were you rolling out multiple types of sales process? methodologies into the organization? What was the?
Could you repeat, please, the beginning?
Yeah, no, you were talking about implementing the sales process
Yeah.
into your organization. We do kind of a hybrid version of solution selling,
Right.
probably like anybody, came off of a failed challenger implementation. But given the different types of salespeople that you have in the organization, do you find that you're supporting multiple sales process methodologies, or do you guys try to adhere to one as it relates?
We try to combine all the existing ones and create something that has worked for us. So that's why I refer to it as a sales signature. You need to find your sales methodology that works best for you. I think that currently there are more than 20 providers who are, try to sell you their methodology, but probably it won't fit to your needs and to your business challenges. So that's why we have created one sales process. Obviously, we have based our sales process on existing ideas. And once you set it, it's very tough and challenging to change it. So sales process is something that you change over probably 2 to 5 years, right? So it's easier to change a compensation plan. It's easier to train your people rather than changing the whole machinery of a sales process.
That makes sense.
Are these the questions for me, or? Oh, sorry.
I see there's a massive misalignment between compensation and the product roadmap in terms of product moves quite agile, it moves very quickly. Oftentimes sales and product don't align particularly well, and therefore, product people have tasks to get features out and adoption and things like that, and salespeople are like, I just want to sell what I can always sell, I'm not really interested in what you're. I find sometimes that happens. How do you marry those?
It happens every time. I haven't experienced a situation in any company where product development is aligned with the sales and commissions. Never. If there is a company here, call me up. As you see, I'm very flexible in changing jobs. So no, I haven't experienced that one. And that's actually the next chapter of my journey, is to align our product devs and marketing with us. So the product people are very much thinking vertically, right? They want to create the best products they can, but they stop rapidly at the edge where you need to think about how your customer, from the product development perspective, and for me, from the product dev perspective, the customer is your sales rep. It's not the end customer, it's the sales rep. And I don't know why, but I experienced that those people stop there and try to think that things will work well, and then you have this very unpleasant conversations why you don't push this prime product that we have developed over 18 months for 5 million OPEX, right? So this is kind of conversations you got, and you need to take them into your loop, analyzing your structure, compensation, and skills, and probably combining it with your product topics.
Analyzing and revamping your compensation structure?
Over the last 24 months since I've been with Telefonica, we have changed our compensation schemes 4 times.
And how does that impact the morale of the sales teams? Is it positive? Do you see that there's any kind of nuance there?
Every time you change compensation plan, the same thing happens. You are the enemy of the salespeople, right? It won't ever work. Boris, how could you do that? Right? It's nonsense. So you've got the same kind of a process every time you change compensation because it's so sensitive for them. It needs 3 to 6 months once you see the results. And the salespeople are the most smartest people in the organization. What I mean by smart is they know how to maximize their output with a minimal effort, right? So if you put them a playbook, which is commissions, they adopt to that very quickly. But you need to be very, strong in blocking this very first objections which appear.
Are you paying out more, like with the commission changes?
No, we save 50% of the commissions budget. That's the funny part of that. So because we were so effective, so what we have created is we have focused our commissions plan on the performance. We are cutting our commissions at a certain entry level. So we're paying 0 commissions for certain target achievements, and we are overpaying and boosting the commissions for top performers. And we reduced the commissions budget by 15%.
You mentioned about failing fast.
Yeah.
What does that decision-making process look like? When you decide to pull the plug on something, how do you manage that communication with sales managers, leaders, etc.?
If you feel that I stay with the metaphor of engine. If you feel that you have no fuel and it doesn't make sense to drive anywhere else, you stop, call, I don't know what it's called in the UK, the assistants, and ask for more fuel. So you need to understand whether you've done so many failures or whether the logic you adopted won't be successful, so you can't change it within a short period of time. It's really individual. So speaking of my first failure, introducing the SaaS methodology, it was really painful because not only it cost a lot of money, but also time, so we killed it after 9 months. And we were setting up for the new trial for the next 18 months, right? And that's fine. You need to be honest to yourself and to your sales organization that you failed, and you need to start from the scratch. And the new journey was amazing, and we introduced a methodology called Winning Complex Sales, which has the highest rated certification in the history of my previous company. So it was amazing, and it was learning, start differently and involving the people from the beginning on. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like failing, at least from my perspective, sitting in an enablement spot, failing to me should be something that you do publicly as well. Yes. Because all it does is build credibility, especially if the perception from the field is that you're more ops-based or more marketing-based. A very public failure admission of what means that you're not willing to, or you're not going to waste a lot of their time. If you feels like something's failing, make it public. For us, that's exactly what we do. In order to kind of gain adoption through the field is to highlight the failures, show that we're able to do MVPs quickly, and if it works, we'll roll it, and if it doesn't work, we tank it. And really, at the end of the day, it helps build credibility from my standpoint.
We played it very publicly. At the sales kickoff, which is a yearly kickoff with all the people, we played it really publicly. And guess what? People do follow you, right? So they try to help you, and that was an amazing transformation momentum that we've got. So once you put your failures in public, you get a lot of followers, even from the people who, try to block everything, which our beloved sales reps and sales leaders. Great.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.